Today, I go before who knows how many atheists to talk with them about God. Tomorrow is 2015. The first time I went up to an atheist to talk about God was in 2005. I asked, what do you think about God? And he said, you don't want to know. I said, yeah, I do. So he told me that he's an atheist and to him, God is just like Santa Claus. And I had no response at that time. That was then, this is now. The difference between God and Santa Claus is that God is necessary and Santa Claus is not. How is God necessary? He's a necessary explanation, and by he I mean a god or gods, is necessary to account for the ultimate origin of nature/reality. There's a dichotomy between atheism and theism. Theism is belief in mind in the origin. Atheism is rejection of mind in the origin and is therefore embracing the only alternative, which is mindlessness. So atheism is blind faith in mindlessness, aka nonsense. Atheism is blind faith in nonsense. So we have mindlessness. If you posit an explanation, it will fall only into one of these two categories. If you have a mix of mind and mindlessness, whatever comes first is what determines which category that explanation would fall into. If you think this is a false dichotomy, you should offer an alternative in the comments or whatever. There is no alternative to mind and mindlessness. It's existence and non-existence. So, mind. Can it account for the ultimate origin? Yes, it does, because mind is creative. It's not even... There's no challenge there. Can mindlessness account for the ultimate origin of nature, which has in it a lot of order besides chaos? Not that all order is perfection. Some people equate the two. I'm not saying that. So, can mindlessness account for great order? It cannot, and this is based on empiricism, all experience. For instance, if you see mindless erosion, does it create a sandcastle, which is quite orderly and relatively of low order? It does not make any sandcastle erosion. Mindlessness does not make any such order. Instead, it destroys all sandcastles. So mindlessness is destructive, not creative. Erosion proves this, and I didn't make that up. You can look at it for yourself. If you don't believe me, go hit the beach or something. Now, this is not to say that mindlessness can never make order or be at all creative. It can make order and be creative, but very little. And what little it makes, it suppresses. For instance, if erosion makes a hole in the ground, which is arguably order, is that order quarantined so that later it's built upon mindlessly? Mindlessly? No, there is no climbing Mount Improbable here. There's no Mount Improbable here. There's Mount Impossible. You need a mind to scale this height. Because what you have as with mindlessness is something that is always overwhelmingly destructive. So for every step forward you take, you're going to take at least 1,000 back. That's not a progressive scenario at all. So you cannot account for great order. You cannot build a skyscraper of order like DNA, the original DNA, with destruction. Destruction is not the answer. Mindlessness is not the answer. Atheism is not the answer. Progression is the answer. Creativity is the answer. Mind is the answer. God. So, and it could be gods too. This argument isn't limited to just one, though I could do that in other arguments and plan to actually. So, mindlessness. All right. I'm often given this counterargument of crystals, which are mindlessly made, and snowflakes. Yes, they are mindlessly made. However, their origin isn't when we see them form. Their real origin is the laws of chemical bonding that make them possible. To account for these laws, you need a mind, because these laws are universal and consistent and would be neither if they were mindlessly reached. Because if they were mindlessly reached, then the behavior of matter, which natural laws describe, would have fluctuated to get to that point, but then there would be no reason to stop at that point. So they would keep going, they would keep fluctuating, matter would keep changing its behavior, or its behavior would keep changing, and you would not have the consistency and universality that we see now, which testify to purpose for them, a mind behind them. So, yeah. Now, some people say that DNA doesn't come from mind because it comes from other DNA. Well, this is cheating. You're not starting at the starting line. We're not talking about DNA from other DNA, but the original DNA. And you cannot account for a woman with her own womb. You cannot account for DNA with itself or with evolution, which requires DNA. So, got that out of the picture. Now, clearly, I think it's clear now, right, that mind works and mindlessness doesn't work. Theism is true, and atheism is nonsense. So, I want to elaborate on evidence for this. It is literally everything, because everything needs to be accounted for. Oh yes, you're going to say, who made God? Now, the question is flawed because you're supposing that the natural law of cause and effect, by which we know that natural things have an origin, applies to the proposition of a god or gods. The proposition of God is not subject to natural laws because it is a proposition of something that is not natural. So it is not subject, God is not subject to the natural law of cause and effect, by which we know that things have an origin. So, who made God? No one, and there is no need to. He is not natural. So, what else? Now that I have proved theism is true and atheism is false, using empiricism and not resorting to the Bible or anything, that would be deemed subjective. Now I'm going to cover some implications of atheism that people either don't know about or sweep under the rug. One of those is its implication on morality. Yes, atheists have morals. Of course, you have conscience, although conscience can be warped. However, your paradigm renders all morality a matter of opinion. Evil is like vanilla. It's bad to you if you don't like the taste, but to someone else it might be tasty. You'd be arguing opinions. Vanilla is better than chocolate. Chocolate is better than vanilla. That's what you're reducing morality to as an atheist. By being an atheist, that's your paradigm. If you're inconsistent with that, well, that's you. But atheism, that's what it implies, that it's all a matter of opinion. So you cannot criticize religion as evil when your own paradigm renders evil a matter of opinion. Worse than this is that atheism justifies all evil. How does atheism possibly do that? By precluding choice, it makes choice impossible. How does it make choice impossible? By equating the mind with the brain. If the mind is not spirit, which atheism implies, because atheism is rejection of mind and the origin, supernatural origin, it means only a natural origin, only natural, then you can have supernatural things like spirits. If you're an atheist and you do believe in spirits, you're inconsistent with atheism because those spirits will either always exist and therefore be gods, or they will have been created by another spirit, and that other spirit would then be a god, making that atheist a theist. So atheists cannot believe in the supernatural. And most don't. I haven't really come across any who do, although I've heard that in the United Kingdom, many of them are superstitious. And some equate superstition with religion, but that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's painting with a broad brush, hasty generalization, fallacy. Anyway, where was I? So the implication of atheism, one of those implications is that choice doesn't exist because the mind is the brain. If the mind is just physical, it's just the brain or part of the brain or something like that. They say that that's the case because they look at like MRIs, I think, scans of the brain, and you see activity in the brain when people are thinking. This is confusing correlation with causation. You see the wheel move, therefore the wheel is the driver. No, there's a driver. And it's not the wheel. It's just the instruments. Instruments, control for the body. So, 11 minutes so far. I have 15-minute limit, I think. Gotta rush. So if the mind is just the brain, or equivalent, or tantamount to it, or a part of it, and not supernatural spirit, physics determines everything then. And there is no possibility other than what physics has determined, which is only one possibility. Because it's a domino effect in physics. Only one thing can happen. For every action, an equal and opposite reaction. This is basic physics. So if a rapist rapes, according to the paradigm of atheism, an implication of atheism, though many deny that for no good reason, they just want to avoid this burden on them, many atheists. If a rapist rapes, they had no choice in the matter, according to atheism, because their mind was programmed by nature. They had no choice in the matter, so they were not guilty. Atheism justifies all evil then. The rapist is nature, not the rapist, because nature raped the rapist to rape. So, atheism justifies all evil. You have no morals. You have no moral high ground at all as an atheist. So to hear atheists being like, oh, God is evil, oh, God is a murderer, your atheism justifies absolutely all evil ever. So even if God were evil, which I'll cover that allegation in another video, I think. Even if God were evil, atheism justifies it. So I think I'm done here. Oh yeah, a usual response is lumping me with other religions. You defend religion. Science versus religion. False dichotomy. Religion, I'm against most of it. I have only one religion and there are countless religions. So I'm against most religion. Every religious person is against most religion. And if someone says that they're for all of them, they're just ignoring the conflicts between them, as if they can be reconciled. So, what else do I want to say? Yeah, I'm done. To God the glory.